So we go on to our last pre-final of the day. DD2 Masters out on circuit. A little bit of a delay in proceedings because it looks like there was some fluid. It could have either have been oil or coolant on the exit on the outside of turn number 1 of the circuit. However, DD2 Masters get their chance to shine under the rather miraculously appearing sunshine that we've got here at Karting Genk. Here's your starting grid. So, starting from pole position, the defending champion, Rudy Champion, takes his place at pole position. And we'll have Karl Klibort in the 510. The Barker looking to possibly get an opportunity to retake a title. But that is Juris Zalaitis that's breaking down off of the Europalan there. So that is going to mean that we'll have an empty spot at 12th position. So Tom Dessert and Ian Getz round out the top 2 rows. So the back-to-back defending BNL kickoff champion, but didn't have the greatest luck of fortune, didn't have the best run of fortune last year. Christoph Adams will be partnered by Bruno Dos Santos on row 3, Dmitry Ostrovsky and Slavomir Moransky from Germany and Poland, respectively. Moransky making his debut appearance in the BNL Karting Series. Christophe Capitan and Jonathan Wemo. That is an all-French row 5 with Frederick Goose Bakert. Looks like Zalaitis will not take any part in this race as that kart is now parked on one of the runoff areas off of the Europalan. So Pritsai, who had no qualifying time due to a technical issue, looks to be possibly throttle related through qualification, but it will be down to Rudy Champion and Karl Klibort, who will lead the field both on Sodi kart chassis. So a change of teams for Karl Klibort after a long association with Buvin Power means that we have an all Sodi kart chassis front row. 13 minutes on the clock plus an additional lap. Champion and Klibort will control the pace as we get ready for our last pre-final of day 1 out of 2 here for the opening round of the BNL Karting Series season for 2021. Are we ready? Are we steady? Lights out. They are off and racing. And it's a good start from Klibort as Dessert pounces up the inside of Klibort, going through into the run into turn 2. As a runoff area used there by one of the other drivers. Oh my goodness me. Ian Getz from Sheepers Racing had a massive tank slapper there because he was being assaulted from every single side that was left, right and behind him, and he managed to keep a hold of that cart going through. As there's Pritsai was trying to steamroll his way up in towards the top 10, going through turn 7, but whacked the curbs there. Looks like he has made his moves past the likes of Frederick Baker and also Christophe Capitan. 12 degrees Celsius at the moment. Going to hit a high of around 13 degrees at in about a couple of hours' time. But Rudy Champion leads the way. Tom Dessert, now kicking up the dust. Now that is going to cause some visibility problems from that quick dry cement dust there, just to help keep the track surface at its optimum. And quite a few drivers would have gotten a face full of it, a visor full of it, as Christoph Adams now has made his way up into 4th position. One of the most decorated in terms of appearances for the Rotax Max Challenge Grand Finals. Needs to stay, for those that might remember the BNL Karting Series kickoff, he absolutely clobbered the front left wheel of that Atomica chassis in one of the races last time out, and that gave him a problem which I thought was a technical problem, but then Guillaume Alvarez, who is otherwise engaged this weekend, spoke to Mr. Adams, who can't decide whether he races under a French, Dutch or Belgian license. He's done it for the second time running, but has stuck with the Dutch racing license. So Champion coming under fire from Dessert and Klibort. Adams in 4th. Jonathan Wemo, who started from around the 5th row on the grid, is in 5th place. Ian Getz in 6th. Slavomir Moransky from 46 team You can pick him out with that very, very golden race helmet there that he's got, but also the very dark overalls. Running on the Tony Kart chassis, the inaugural Euro Trophy champion, having to battle away. Yudhisthalitis, obviously, we'd already known that he'd retired before the race had actually gotten underway, but Rudy Champion leads from Tom Dessert. And Carl Clerbot makes it 2 Belgians in the top 3 as well. Now there's a bit of a robust move. Oh, that's not going to work. Pritzai on the inside of Germany's Dmitry Ostrovsky. Pritzai just went steamrolling in. Absolutely smacked the right-hand side pod of Dmitry Ostrovsky, who's got Christophe Capitain and Frederick Baker closing in, going down the Europolan. So that was a bit of an abrupt collision there between the two. As Tom Dessert keeps ahead of Carl Clerbot, as Clerbot up the inside. And that he had enough room to get through there. So the thing is that Carl Clerbot gave Tom Dessert racing room. Well, it was given racing room, took advantage of it, and now Tom Dessert being closed in on by Christophe Adams, who now sides his way up the inside through into 3rd position with 9 minutes and 10 seconds to go. So the DD2 Masters category for any driver over the age of 34. So myself personally, if anyone said, well, you can go into a Rotax kart, well, I'd definitely be, and if it was a race competition, I would definitely be in DD2 Masters. So there I've given my age away, so to speak. I am over the age of 34. But Rudy Champion continues to lead ahead of Carl Clerbot. Christophe Adams now into 3rd. Tom Dessert in 4th. Ian Getz in 5th. Jonathan Wimmel rounds out the top 6, but it looks like Slavomir Moransky is trying to close in on him, but Polish driver not yet there or thereabouts in order to strike. As we go on to lap number 6. So it is Sodi Kart v Sodi Kart in terms of chassis providers out there. Christophe Adams on the Atomica, Tom Dessert on the X-Prix chassis, and Ian Getz, I think, is on the Kart Republic chassis, if memory serves me correctly, which is the case. As the 2 leaders, good to see Carl Clerbot proudly sporting his Team Belgium Racing overalls, and it looks like Christophe Adams might be doing the same as well. So top 3 with just over 7 minutes and 40 still to go. Rudy Champion, the reigning and defending champion from 2020, goes on to another lap, but Carl Clerbot is within 2.5 tenths of a second. So go through turn 3. Now into the left at 4, into the left at 5, before the right-hand hairpin at 6 that brings them back on to the Europolan. As Tom Dessert trying to keep Christophe Adams very, very honest, but at this particular moment in time, Christophe Adams, the 555, is about 3 tenths up the road. Ian Getz now still trying to close in, as the likes of Jonathan Wimmel, Slavomir Moransky rounding out the top 7. Bruno Dos Santos from France, he's 8th. Pritzai up into 9th. Christophe Capitain up into 10th position, as Dmitry Ostrovsky from Germany is still ahead of Frederick Baker, but they're having a battle of their own over what is 11th place on the road, as they've just exited turn 11. Leaders now onto lap number 8, as there goes Carl Clerbot. That was close and then some, but Rudy Champion managed to close the gap, and Carl Clerbot actually lifted off the throttle and had to gently tap the anchors to make sure that he didn't go into the back of Rudy Champion, because at the moment we have had a considerable amount of front fairing penalties. So 13 after both senior Rotax heats combined. Then we had a further 10, that's 23 in the pre-final for juniors, and then a further 3 in the DD2 pre-final. So effectively we've had 26 front fairing penalties, and we're not even past the halfway mark of the first day of the weekend. So Champion brings them on to complete lap number 8, and we're on to lap 9 as Clerbot, Adams and Dessert round out the top 4 still. Pritzai, in the meantime, has set the fastest lap out of anybody so far, and that was on the completion of lap 7, a 54.387 from the Estonian, who actually joined the ranks of the Euro Trophy back in Adria in late October last year, which ended up being the final round of that particular season, with Sebastian Humpelhardt is their defending champion. So Champion continuing to push forward, as is Clervaux. They've pushed a gap to around about a second over Christoph Adams. So looks like the battle between Moransky, Dos Santos and Pritzai is starting to increase in intensity, as Pritzai has again, well, he's closed on Slavomir Moransky by well over 0.2 of a second, close to 2.5 tenths on that previous lap alone. 12 out of the 13 drivers still circulating, with just over 4 minutes and a quarter still to go, plus an additional lap, as Pritzai looking to get past Slavomir Moransky. And Moransky is known for his Polish fighting spirit. We saw that in 2018 as he looks over his right shoulder to see where Pritzai is, and Sai up the inside through turn 10. Nice work by the Estonian. So Moransky on the back foot a little bit, but Bruno Dos Santos on the Sony Kart chassis, not too far behind the KMD driver, looking to close. But Moransky is keeping within striking distance of Pritzai from Estonia. Bruno Dos Santos covers the remainder of this trio from 7th to 9th, and they are covered by just over 6 tenths. But there is Ian Getz closing in, the Sheepers Racing driver, closing in on Tom Dessert from GKS Lemons Power, the GKS team based out of this circuit here at Genk. As we get into the last 3 minutes plus an additional lap, Carl Clervaux has kept Rudy Champion honest, but Ian Getz now trying to make it a two-way scrap between two Belgians for what is 4th position. And there goes Getz up the inside of Tom Dessert. Neatly timed and precisely done there from the 567. Just carried the momentum through, kept building and pushing forwards. And that's what you need to do in terms of this particular side of things when it comes to racing. But it has been pretty much even Stevens. Rudy Champion now holds the fastest lap of the race, and that was completed on lap number 9, a 54.4 from the leader on the previous lap, whereas Carl Clervaux sets a personal best. Christoph Adams also set a personal best last time around, as we are on lap number 13. Oh, and Christophe Capitain on lap 11 has parked the kart. That is it for the Frenchman in the 599. But we still have 11 drivers that will hopefully make it to the checkered flag in about 3 to 4 laps. So Champion leads from Clervaux, Adams, Getz, Dessert, Ruemo, Sai, Moransky, Dos Santos, Ostrovsky and Baker, rounding out the 11 drivers out of 13 that started this race over 12 minutes ago. And we are coming down to the final throws. And a good gap between Clervaux and Adams. It was nearly 1.6 seconds last time, as Getz and Dessert go back into battle. The battle lines have been drawn between these two as they go through turn 2 into the left at 3. So after this lap, we'll have 2 more laps remaining. We're on lap number 14 out of 16. And Dmitry Ostrovsky has lost out to Frederick Baker, and the German is starting to drop away from the Belgian, affectionately nicknamed Goose, courtesy of his love of all things Top Gun. So the drivers still have an opportunity if they are close enough to strike. Now is the chance to push forward. But Carl Klebert has been anywhere between 3 to 6, well, 3 to 5/10 of a second behind Rudy Champion as we go on to the penultimate lap. Tom Dessert looking close but not close enough on that particular occasion. Takes a little bit too much curb going through the inside of turn 2. But Rudy Champion still continues to lead this race. And after this, we will have 2 more senior Rotax heats, which will take us into a short break before the finals for Junior DD2 and DD2 Masters get underway. Timer has so we are now appearing to go onto the 16th and final lap. The pre-finals now about to be completed. Rudy Champion gets his head down through into turns 1 and 2. Gap between him and Debacker Carl Klebert, 4/10 of a second. Christophe Adams is going to stay happy with 3rd position in this one. He is 2.3 seconds off Ian Gepps and Tom Dessert. Looks like the gap has started to elongate between the pair of them for 4th and 5th place. Jonathan Wemore from France started on row 5. Will complete the top 6 very shortly as the leaders make their way down into turn 10 for the final time. 2 more corners for France's Rudy Champion from Piquet's Competition. And he opens his winning account in fine style. The defending champion, Rudy Champion, wins the pre-final on day 1. 0.366 ahead of Carl Klebert. Christophe Adams a further 2.6 seconds behind in 3rd position. 2 retirements, unfortunately, in that race, with Christophe Capitain retiring on lap number 11. Juris Zalaitis from Latvia didn't even make the rolling start. And with Dmitry Ostrovsky from Germany in the 580, rounding out the 11 finishers. So it was Champion that wins it, ahead of Carl Klebert. Christophe Adams rounding out the top 3. Ian Gepps, Tom Dessert, Jonathan Wimmer, Pritzai, Slavomir Moransky, Bruno Dos Santos, Frederick Bakert, and Dmitry Ostrovsky round out the 11 finishers of this race that completed all 16 laps within 16 seconds of each other.